Forgive me because I've just come back from mimosas with some gal pals, and I got a lot to say. I certainly live in the right era for it. I constantly think about, like, man, if I was a woman in the 1950s, straight to the institution, immediately lobotomized. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think that's fair. But unthankfully for the world at large, I live in this era, and I'm able to verbalize all of my thoughts across YouTube. So I ran into this ex the other day, just like randomly on the street. Terrible guy, just the the worst guy imaginable, really. And he wants to reconnect because, of course, this sick bastard wants to reconnect. But now I'm using for free drum lessons, and I figured, I might as well get something out of it this time. And we haven't, like, we've reconnected, but not in any romantic or sexual way. But things have taken a real turn towards crazy town. Um, Absolutely, they have. The thing is like, unfortunately, he's a very extremely talented musician. I'll give him that. And he used to, like, teach me a few things on drums when we were together, and was like, actually, you're really kind of good at it. And he never said a nice thing, not a nice word, never a kind word to me, which at the time was the appeal, of course. And so I knew that it was like him saying that was pretty genuine. So I don't know. Been thinking about it recently, and I was like, I want to pick it back up. And there he was, more insufferable than ever, right on the street corner. Um, Predictably, things have taken a real turn towards crazy town. I would say it's like Whiplash meets Jackass. I am being screamed at. Things are being hurled at me. Heavy things. Things can absolutely kill me. Things even on fire as I'm drumming into exhaustion. And the thing is that this has actually pushed me into greatness. He had me on these performance enhancers that he made himself, never questioned what was in it, didn't care. I get into such an area of intensity that I was like, you know what, man, I absolutely need it. Give me the juice. Juice me up, dude. I need it, and just shoot me full of it. And yeah, I mean, I was dropped off on the sidewalk of an emergency room, but the relationship was always full of life and death stakes. And you have two people that, are willing to go to such extremes. The only inevitable conclusion is death. There's no voice of reason. There's no regulation, self control. It's just two people propelling themselves through basically a death wish, death fantasy, however you want to put it. But I have gotten pretty good. I've gotten great, in fact. But then I also started to have visions that my closet was a portal for aliens from Jupiter. So I figured, you know what, man, I think it's probably time I find a more orthodox drum teacher, to my great detriment. They're very expensive, so I'm just kind of floating. I'm floating aimlessly. I really am, guys. I just am kind of floating in the wind here, and the return to real life has. I've just become so listless. I feel like I'm just drifting, man. It's just I'm unable to really embrace or channel this really deep seated insanity that I have inside me. Um, and then the whole apartment really erupted into chaos. I started getting really into researching these peptide complexes for Bugley. They have a lot of promising results in athletes for, like, soft tissue regeneration, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they work so well for athletes that they've been, like, banned as performance enhancers. So I figured, like, why not work for an aging bulldog, right? And they did. They did. They worked freakishly well to a frightening degree, though. He developed a real powerful rage and a real nasty, nasty attitude that I couldn't abide. And the apartment got pretty crazy for a while. And I just I couldn't do it any longer because Bugley, he is an animal, he's a creature who wants to do the least amount of exercise as he can. Even the most minimal amount of exercise is too much, and he kept that same attitude and heart. So it's like, dude, if you're not hitting the gym, I got to take away the sauce. There's no way to power um this I just can't be juicing you into oblivion. There needs to be an outlet for it, and there wasn't. So it became just a real crazy place for a while. It was the best of times, but the absolute void fueled worst of times here. But my return to reality, which I use this phrase very loosely, of course, reality, it's been even worse. I feel like when I look around me, this increasing digitization of our world is creating this really fully ingrained populace. No longer does real life feel like an escape from the monoculture of online. The internet has exposed us to more. It's definitely now made us more interesting. In some ways, it's created more rules for assimilation, and yet also a place to indulge and normalize our most extreme antisocial ideas. We've opened a Pandora's box, but what came out was more dulling than the world without it. And it's made my job and my life all the more isolating. For instance, I have this client. He has a fetish for sticking stuff up his dick hole. And the thing is about it is that I have seen pictures against my will, and then you can't look away. You can't look away. It's like, it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm having a lot of pain, and this is what my dick looks like right now. Should I go to the emergency room? And you're like, well, no, I don't want to. And let me get a close look. Wow, wow. The human body is exceptionally more resilient than I thought about. Okay. Yes, yes, emergency room. Emergency room. We're going to cut the meeting short and you're going to go straight to the emergency room right now. Is that what it looks like right now? Because, yeah, yes, that is emergency. That's a medical emergency. And it's something that you never forget. And it's something that you have a really difficult time with. But this guy loves it. It's unimaginable for him to stop it. He has a real love of the game. And, it's, but what's happened though with this is that he's connected with this online community that's really just commodified him. And look, I'm not here to tell people what to do. Okay? What he's doing, it's insane. It's clinically insane. Okay? It's like if he wants to fetishize insanity, that's fine. Don't have a problem with it. I don't. But the thing is let's call it what it is. And let's accept that there are real physical consequences for you know, this behavior, i.e., a nub penis and a catheter. That's what his future looks like. Um, but what really offends me about this is what he's perpetuating in this so-called community online he's found. It's not art. It's not even interesting. He's not even channeling his insanity with any genuine merit. I mean, he's inserting needles and ejaculating blood via a cell phone camera, but it's become rote. It may be something he does, but you know what? The thing is, his heart isn't fulfilled. Okay, he longs for the days that this was just sexual gratification, and it sickens me. It sickens me that the way that he has become perpetually online has degraded his genital mutilation into monetization, content, a derivative of everything that's come before it. Of course he wants to branch out. Of course he does. He wants to share this with actual, real, craving, hungered eyes. He wants to push the limits together with another soul. He wants to develop a true connection and not just be a servant to an irony poisoned audience. His lack of real world connection has kept him a slave to this increasingly uninspired sexual insanity. And look, if you insist on mutilating your genitals under my care, you're not doing it for clout. You're doing it for the love of the game, man. Okay? Not happening. Not happening in my office. That's unacceptable to me. I mean, you better love it with everything you got, or this is a no-go. And you get transferred. You get transferred off to fucking Siberia for all I give a shit. Because there's a really unique pathology here that comes from genuine human pain, when insanity has largely become a nihilistic joke online. Nobody ever says anything too real, too crazy, not without a wink and a nod to safely distance themselves from anything that would, inflammatory enough to get them kicked out of their niche community. I mean, they wouldn't hold their position in the online in crowd if they did. But it's disappointing that this has even compromised the genuine freak community. Sincerity, it's lost its value. Imagination, true creativity, has been severely blunted as a result. It's even seeped down into the children. Let me tell you, when I was working with children at the school district, I'll tell you this: Gen Alpha is raised by just the most deadened generation. It's my generation, it's millennials, okay? So I know it firsthand. The most deadened generation. So it's like, it should come as no wonder that they're just like inheriting the depression of a divorced dad that's at a bar on Christmas Eve because his entire family has gone no contact. Um, but it's still kind of a bummer, man. It's like at 12 years old, this client says to me, I really like music, you know, but he can't even dream a child's dream with it. You're thinking, oh, okay, he wants to be like a rock star, he wants to do something with music. This kid's dream that he thinks is just so grandiose it could probably never come to fruition is a middle school band teacher. Okay? Um, it's just like, wow. I feel like with the years I've put in this job, it's like no matter the population, we've become a culture so paralyzed by the cacophony of opinions. Therapy becoming the most popular solution when the true cure is to stop intellectualizing. Werner Herzog has said, I believe explaining every dark corner that we have in our soul is very unhealthy and a very stupid and a very dangerous thing. Why? Because when you illuminate every last corner of the house with strong lights, the house becomes uninhabitable. And Herzog is the greatest philosopher that the world and history has ever seen. Aristotle, Plato can go suck each other off. I would much rather live as Herzog than an overtherapized husk, I tell you. Even I don't believe in what I do anymore. It's shaken me. I've become aimless. I sit at home after work and I stare at a fucking wall. I order groceries because I don't even want to go outside. I don't even want to be around people. I've seen enough of what we've become. And how rewarding, people say, how rewarding it must be. How rewarding it must be to be a clinical social worker. Yeah, if you consider being bored to death a reward, I guess it is. And my profession is directly responsible for creating a grotesquely pedestrian world. So that's who I have for you tonight. Shock the system with two women who navigate a cataclysmic mental breakdown. Birth and death, not really so dissimilar. In Antichrist, that came out in 2009, with Die My Love, that came out just last year in 2025. So I go back and forth because it's like pretty impossible to pick a favorite Von Trier film. Okay, I got my Von Trier shirt on, which most people think it's a Van Halen shirt, and they're like, "Hey man, it's a Van Halen shirt," and I'm just like, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah, let's just go with that." Because how do I even explain? Like, you know what? Actually, you know what? Never mind. Van Halen, fucking sick as fuck, dude. Jump, such a great one. But it's impossible. It's impossible. Antichrist is like it's like always in the rotation, but like I feel like it's so hard. It's like Dogville, Melancholia. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard. And you know what? I even have a special affection for Manderley. I know no one likes that one, but I have a special affection for that one. I love that one. Um I have a special affection for all his films. I have a special affection for Lars von Trier. I feel like he's a father figure, spiritual father figure to me. I never met him. I don't know him, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me at all. He raised me. That man raised me. Um, but Antichrist has become somewhat of a comfort film for me. I sit in the dark, put it on, and on repeat, hope for the best. And it spawned really a plethora of like inside jokes only with myself. I used to have these two pugs, and they used to sit underneath me as I ate every meal, and I used to call them the two beggars. I say, any chance I get. I was actually kicked out of a hiking group. I was like super into hiking for like a season because I'm a total fucking idiot. And I was like super into it, got kicked out because I kept explaining how we were walking around in Satan's church, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it. They didn't understand it. I feel like, maybe they just can't accept the truth. I don't know. But this also includes my favorite line reading ever. So it's like we have Willem. He's like in exceptional physical agony. And his wife is trying to explain, like, yeah, you know what, man? You can die, but only when the constellation of the three beggars, and he can't help but mansplain in this moment, even though it's like he has much bigger fish to fry in this moment. But he just can't help mansplain, like, there is no that is no such constellation. It's like the greatest thing ever. I say it all the time. No one gets a reference. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Watch the film. You're gonna fucking love it. You're gonna fucking love it, dude. You're gonna get it. After you watch it, you're gonna get it. And you're gonna come back to this and you'll be like, that fucking bitch is right. That's great. But for all those that are just being christened and Antichrist, you're welcome. You're welcome. It is a film about a husband and a wife who are fucking. Their toddler like climbs up this window, falls out to his death. And I would be remiss not to mention there is P&V action in this, actual P&V action, although Willem does have a body double. Because I'm quoting Von Trier here when he says, we had to use a body double because he was so large it confused people. Which is something I don't really understand. I'm actually confused at that because when I look at Willem, I mean, I'm like, well, absolutely, he's hanging hog. I don't know, he's slanging hog. I don't know how you look at him and don't think that. But I understand. I understand you don't want to detract from the film. Whatever. You just you can't show it. It's always been a dream of mine ever since finding that out. It's always been a dream of mine to see it. But one of these days, maybe I will. Maybe I can, like fingers crossed, I get cancer one day and I could do a make a wish and be like, I want to elicit a dick pic from Willem Dafoe, and I want to see the hug. I want to see it. I have real fascination with it now. And I do like looking at dick pics. I'm like the only woman maybe that's like, I like getting them. I like getting them because I like looking at them and I like critiquing them cinematically. Okay, probably rightfully so. My camera came out, just turned off saying that. But some men have a real eye for it, and some of them don't. And I do like to send them notes on it. So if you have any dick pics laying around that you want to send me, I would love to see them. Especially Willem, if you're watching. I won't tell a soul, dude. I kind of want to see that thing. You know what I mean? I want to see that elephant trunk. I really do. I'm really into it. It's become a little bit of an obsession. I dream about it. Um, but Anyway, getting back to the plot of the film, the woman, of course, she's grief stricken, almost into catatonic depression. And Willem, of course, is the know-it-all therapist that decides, I know the perfect treatment for her. Let's do extreme exposure therapy at the last place that she went on vacation with her son, aptly named Eden. It is this like cabin out in the woods on Satan's church, of course. And during the summer, she was also working on a dissertation on the inherent evilness of women, which is a very real, true, brave hypothesis. I applaud her for it. Um, and, you know, it's just like through his time attempting to cure his wife's inherent evil, he's subjected to sexually sadistic, sadomasochistic torture, as well as plenty of supernatural hallucinations. Um, and I really like to see this as like he's taken a peek into the mind of women. A mind shaped by the vileness that we are forced to silently absorb. Even her grief is hijacked by her husband's cerebral egotism. I mean, I, for one, I believe the claims of the Salem witch trials, okay? And I commend those women for their actions. I do not believe that they are, these innocent souls that were subjected to false claims. Look at this more of a companion piece to Dogville, okay? That everything has its capacity. A cup will eventually run over. A balloon will burst with too much air. A heart will eventually stop beating after years of gluttonous abuse. And a woman, she'll externalize the suffering she has endured. The build always, requires a release. Similar to the double of this feature, there are hints that the woman, the characters, of course, are both unnamed in this film, but there are hints that the woman suffered from postpartum depression. So I think that makes like both of these pieces very like female pieces. Lars von Trier, of course, an ethereal representation of all women. And on the one hand, women in STEM has a benefit to actually studying the root causes of female mental health disorders. I mean, how many times have we gone to the doctors and we've all had the experience of hearing, it just hasn't really been studied. Not much is known. I mean, you can do this thing, it's not really going to work. But it's really just like kind of the medical community being like, yeah, you just kind of have to shut up and endure it. I don't know. Um, might be the most common thing in the world, but only 50% of the population that's, disproportionately underrepresented in research and medical fields. On the other hand, I don't think that building resiliency is necessarily a bad thing. Exposure therapy, it wasn't invented by a woman, but it was adopted and widely applied as we know it today by a woman in the 1920s. In theory, confronting your fears, not ruminating, not normalizing, and not placating is key to treatment. Endurance equals resilience. Exercise sucks, but eventually you get stronger. Eating healthy isn't enjoyable, but eventually you become healthier. Writing a research paper, miserable. But then you get it published, it becomes common practice, and you help people change their lives. Incorporating productive habits can be miserable. But the more we force ourselves to do these things, the better we feel. We can't hide in an infantilized cocoon our entire lives, refusing to feel uncomfy even for just a single minute. Like with grief, the only solution is time. Modern therapy has turned away from behavior theories and therapies and focused more on unconditional positive regard, which is where I kind of detract from the whole field. They value more an external locus of control versus an internal one. I mean, basically, do you believe that you have no power to change your life or that behaviors, habits, and beliefs can be relearned and improved upon? And it's all it's all building. It doesn't happen all at once. It's all building. It's all about being psychodynamic, incorporating many different interventions into your practice, but there should be a time limit and there should be an end result. Not perfection, not a cure, but a functional recovery. Therapy is actually not a lifelong pursuit, and not everyone needs it. And anyone telling you that is a con artist bilking you to keep their private practice afloat. All baby birds must fly from the nest eventually. And I don't necessarily believe that we always have an internal locus of control because, yeah, financial security, more robust social supports, would absolutely lessen a large portion of the depression and anxiety that we see today. However, for the rest of you, I will absolutely yuck your yum and I don't give a fuck about it. Okay? Mental health disorders have become more treatment resistant because the world of therapy has gotten rich and Munchausen by proxy. Are women inherently evil? Do men unleash this with their inherent, weak, pathetic, selfish pursuits? Yep. But behaviors we can ultimately learn to improve upon. Stormy Love similarly captures this idea. Grace is a young mother who descends into postpartum depression. Her husband Jackson becomes distant, hands off, much more willing to indulge himself than participate in his own family. It doesn't help that the women around Grace have normalized this for her. You lose yourself. Yeah, the foundation self, it slips away beneath you. We've all been there. The previous version of partnership erodes, and expectations are much more harshly placed on women when it comes to family and child rearing. A man is only ever expected to be of help. How many times have you heard the phrase, he helps the kids? Do we ever extend the same sentiment to women? Imagine if a father said that about his wife. She helps with the kids. Isolated with a newborn, she's expected to cherish this experience and remain the accomplished novelist and the dutiful, carefree girl Jackson first met. Jackson's changed too, albeit more in a stoic way. Whereas a mother is expected to be adaptable after this dramatic, life changing event, and biologically speaking, you're no longer the same physically, mentally, emotionally, and you can't be. There's evolutionary reasons for it. But since men are not the child bearers, they don't experience the same biological shift and can simply just opt out. Far too often checking out when it comes to adult expectations. They want to be mommy girlfriends, special prize indefinitely. When feminine affection is distributed, it becomes disinterested, even cruel in a childish way. The women around Grace recognize the silent pain she tries, as she tries to maintain any semblance of who she was, her identity disappearing through her fingers like sand. They know the dynamic, they know the shift, they understand, but she's got to be resilient. She's got to endure just like they had, and she'll be fine. But endurance and resiliency have their limits. And this is typical rewritten boomer history. They never did it by themselves. They largely had their mothers, sisters, other moms, and even if they didn't, why should she have to struggle to navigate this alone? When you know better, you do better, right? Her alienation eventually manifests into self harm and acts of extreme self aggression. It's not whether Grace is strong enough. She has been, but she's meeting a very realistic threshold. It takes a village as a cliche for a reason. Just because something can't be done alone doesn't mean it doesn't require strength. Think back to the journey of Frodo in Lord of the Rings. I wish I could go to the Undying Lands. But in an attempt to fill this void, women can turn to an online landscape nowadays. More often than not, relying on mommy bloggers and TikTok specialists with their own very rigid ideals. Trust that seeps into the mental health field all the time. Fixating on the performative nature of the medium, sure, of course, we all know you don't want to inflict the actual DSM criteria of trauma onto your children. Remember what you're hearing and what you're seeing, it's all a show. We could afford to be a little more real. The way I am who I am is because I had terrible parents. The thing is, behaviors can be learned, unlearned, relearned. And guess what? Like, our brains are equipped with neuroplasticity, which means that things can certainly rewrite your brain, but that works both ways. Situations are rarely helpless and never really hopeless unless you do nothing. It's okay to be a little fucked up. Your eccentricity isn't trauma. Being weird or awkward is not a mental illness, and you don't need a cure for it. But it's not like talking is like never the answer. Most of the volatility in this film could have resolved with the couple communicating with each other instead of ignoring a powder cake, cleaning up each explosion as it came, and perpetually trapping themselves in cyclical destruction. Suppression is how things become ingrained. Where Grace internalized the only way that she is heard is with her excessive outbursts, eventually numbing her feelings entirely when even her meltdowns begin to fall on deaf ears. Now, look, it may require your own way of doing things, which I know may feel uncomfortable in this day and age after we've been endlessly bombarded with public judgment. Life is messy. And you know what? I always like to think of things like a narrative. No great story comes without its strife. The world is a sick place. We're all sick, and that's what makes it interesting. We should be thriving on inflaming people's passions. We've mistaken hate as something to fear, an immobilizing, demotivating force, when spite, it's an exceptional, powerful tool. We've lost the idea of character. Let me tell you a story about Akira Kurosawa in 1971. Akira attempted suicide, thinking his career was finished. He couldn't finance a film. He was fired from 20th Century Fox and considered a relic of the past. Even his own wife encouraged his suicide. The man was finished. Now, he could have acquiesced, died, and likely been considered through the lens of history as an important part of film, but his surrender certainly would have compromised his legend. He would have cemented himself as has been. A faded star, he would have proven the myopic detractors correct and died a loser. But he survived, and in the mid 80s, he made Ran, considered a seminal masterwork, and even later Dreams. Kurosawa did not doom himself to the fate of a narrow minded industry. He rose once again to reign cinematic supreme, a man fueled by the hate of his enemies. He wasn't about to take that shit to the grave anymore. He chapped their abominably appalling, visionless asses straight to being the greatest of all time. So reject the cage of austerity, let that freak ass fly high, transgress, and celebrate disdain, even if it requires a little breakdown every now and then. Have a great time checking these two out, guys. I'll see you next time.